All right, and now for the reunion of sorts.
Woo!
Star Wars. Wait, we're back. We're
We're
back at
back,
yes.
Yeah.
baby.
The last time we talked about, well, from the beginning, episode 4, we talked
Right.
about spin-offs and whatnot, and then we ended it off with our spoiler review of Star Wars: The Force Awakens. Right, this was way back in
Right.
2015, where we now started the show and we're like, oh yeah, we'll just talk until we get tired, right? And we just came up with a close to 4 episode, but it's like, well, hey, it was fun.
I love trying to recommend that one to people. I'm like, people are like, you're in a podcast? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, this episode is 4 hours long.
But the time codes, though. The time codes. Well, I have to check and see if there's still time codes. But yeah, I remember with time codes.
No, it's
You can always skip the moments.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
But
but
so I'm assuming you guys have had a chance to. I mean, your audience knows your thoughts on the Disney era Star Wars films, right?
Mostly.
yeah.
Okay. I should probably run through mine before we get going. I think full on. Like my from the Disney era.
Yeah, sure thing.
So my thoughts. I mean, I definitely disliked Force Awakens a lot more when it originally came out, but I don't know. It's kind of grown on me, partially from talking to people who like it a lot more than I do, and I'm at a point where I don't hate it. It's still not my favorite Star Wars movie.
Same here.
But
Same here.
it's a fun, good. Like if it's on, it's like a fun, good time. It's like the first J.J. Abrams Star Trek. Like it's fun.
Right.
It's fun when it's on. I'm not really gonna seek it out, but I'm not gonna be offended having it in my collection. So yeah, Force Awakens is pretty good. I adore Rogue One.
Yes.
Like Rogue One is such a different take on Star Wars, but it's also still very Star Wars. It's a story we didn't know about, but it's explored in such an interesting way. And I love the ensemble cast. The friggin' finally we get some like Hong Kong martial arts action in a Star Wars movie with my boy Donnie Yen.
Donnie Yen, by 40 win.
Hell
40
yeah,
win.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. So yeah, always a pleasure.
Yeah. We both enjoyed Rogue One as well. I honestly would say it is the best prequel. Well, I shouldn't say prequel, but Star Wars spin-off movies.
Yeah, Rogue One is also my personal favorite of the entire Disney run.
Right.
The only one little small critique of it is where I really wanted those Death Troopers to kick a little more ass, and I didn't get to see enough of that. I wanted to see those Death Troopers like kick some ass, like seriously, like you remember in the Tartakovsky Clone Wars, you saw the clone troopers like really like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I want that. I didn't get that, but I find I love the story for what it was. I was digging it. They're filling a kind of classic kind of plot hole in Star Wars, which was not something that necessarily needed to be answered, but I like that they made the effort. And then the Battle of Scarif is so good.
Yes,
Battle of Scarif is so good.
It's classic. You've got the whole Star Wars thing of you have the big space battle, but then you also have the people on the ground, and it mixes between the two.
Yeah,
and it's such a good job at that.
And you know what they did? They did a thing that I wanted to see in Mass Effect, which is the whole shielding, and you have to get through the shield, but you're separating the ground. I wanted to see something like that in a space battle in a hot minute, and we'll never get to see it. And they did it, and they nailed it.
And then also that ending. I will also say, apparently, all of the writers of Rogue One were worried till the day the film was released that they were going to get a call from the Disney hires up saying change the ending and make it happy. But instead, we got the ending that we did, and it's so good. Like it hits so hard.
Yeah, it's such a satisfying end.
Yeah, but it makes simple and perfect sense. Like I know a lot of people nitpick. Oh, the timeline don't make sense, or it's not too accurate. Like whatever, no food, I don't care. And my
space for nitpickers.
Yeah. I didn't really have a problem with that. The only another nitpick was the CGI they did for Leia and Tarkin.
Yeah.
That was rough.
Yeah, a little rough. But I dug the hell out of this, and everybody was like just. All these nerds scream their pants over Darth Vader, like melting them.
Oh man,
yeah. Especially
that's
like the little fight that he did where he was wiping out those guys. Is like, oh,
yeah,
wow, okay.
That's like straight out of one of those like Force Unleashed video games or something.
Yes,
that's like That whole...
what cracked me up is, well, Darth Vader had a terrible pun on Mustafa, which was ridiculous, but whatever. But the movie as it is, I really enjoyed because they decided to do, okay, what happens if you don't have the Force? If you kind of have the Force, how are you going to deal with this? And it's all the side people, all the bomb throwers, and you know, in that part of the world you almost never see. I really appreciated that. They could have fleshed out a little better, but I still really, really liked it.
Yeah. And well, one thing I'll say though, it was really risky. Well, ballsy actually to just treat this as a war film. Like, this is a legit you watching a war film just set in the Star Wars universe. I was like, about time.
And part of my thing, given that like the big thing that burned me out on Force Awakens was that it felt like such a safe, by the numbers movie. To immediately come with Rogue One, I was interested again. Like, I was hyped. I was like, oh, okay, Disney, I see you. Okay, we're doing this. Let's go. So and that's how we transitioned into Last Jedi, which I felt took that approach to the main series. Like, finally, because like a lot of people got upset and still are upset at the fact that Rian Johnson either ignored or threw out any of the setup that J.J. Abrams laid out in Force Awakens. But here's two things about Rian Johnson. Well, two things. One about Rian Johnson, one about J.J. Abrams. J.J. Abrams doesn't actually care about what the end results of his setups are, if that makes sense. We're going to come back to that. But one of the things about J.J. Abrams is J.J. Abrams loves setting up things and asking questions and then leaving it to other people. He doesn't actually care about answering those questions or resolving that setup. And so a lot of these arcs and the setup that he was that were set up in Force Awakens was actually kind of like very by the numbers and bland, like the direction it seemed to be going. So Last Jedi, and like, come on, anyone who's seen Looper or Brick knew that when they got Rian Johnson to make a Star Wars film, this was going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Like, I knew going in this was going to be weird. It was going to be different. It was going to be subversive and strange. I was ready for that. And even then I was blown away. Like, I hadn't felt that. I was feeling things watching that movie that I had not felt since the first time I saw Return of the Jedi. And whether it's like all of the different themes, and like, it's a Star Wars movie that actually made me think. It's a Star Wars movie that made me take a step back, and like, I was still thinking about it and talking about it with other people after seeing it. It's a movie that still sits with me. It's a movie I still think about. Yeah. It's a movie I appreciate. Yeah. What did you say?
No, yeah, I one of the big sells for these new Disney movies is like, look, you have the budget, give us a shot. Give us like some great shots. And Rogue One did that. Rogue One had these amazing shots. And then Last Jedi, like, completely blew me out of the water with respect to that. It's like, whoa.
Yeah, there's some fantastic visuals in Last Jedi, for sure.
Look, and much like Looper, Last Jedi has a lot of logic problems in it. But I'm the kind of guy that thinks, look, you know, to go back to the old Hitchcock thing, right? You know, films need to make more sense than logic. It need to be bigger than sense. You know?
Part of the thing with Last Jedi is particularly that it's not quite so much about logic as it is about emotion.
Yes. Exactly.
Like, and it's about more to this movie, and I appreciate that about it.
Exactly. And so everybody like nitpicking, well, if they could have taken a ship to the casino planet, why they couldn't take like ships back and forth, and how come she didn't take all the slave children with her and all this little bullshit now?
Yeah.
Like, no.
The subject of that. One dumb question. Like, somebody recently asked me when I was talking to them about Last Jedi. It's like, oh, well, Lorna's character, how she was just able to make that sacrifice at the very end. Why didn't do that initially? And Admiral Akbar would have lived. Why Admiral Akbar had to die, and what was that deal with Princess Leia and all that stuff?
No, I think the dumbest question I had was it's the opening with like where they're bombing the dreadnought, and someone's like, well, how do bombs fall in outer space? And I'm like,
what?
What are you talking?
It's Star Wars. You don't ask questions like that. That's like you asking, okay, you're talking to an alien. The alien responded in a different language, but you understand what they're saying. You respond in English. You don't ask questions like that. You just accept it. It's part of the world. It's fancy.
Exactly. Right. And Star Wars, because it's Star Wars, I not like, look, this is not the Expanse. You're expecting Expanse logic or even Star Trek logic for Star Wars. And Star Wars is something I never had a thing with it. I myself was personally...
It's not hard science. It's not hard science.
Yeah, but I was personally shocked. I was personally shocked that so many people was against The Last Jedi because I thought I would have been that guy, right? I was like, oh, how come they didn't do this? And how come we do that? And then like some Star Wars nerd would be like, no, you don't do this. And I thought this has happened, blah, blah, blah. But from a thematic standpoint, I dug it. A lot of people hated in a way the lightsaber. I love that. That makes perfect sense to me.
Too, yeah. I love the idea of a jaded, cynical Luke Skywalker. And some people were like, but how can you do this? Luke is so cool. How can you take our role model and make him like, oh gosh, he's... What I got from it, I actually rewatched Last Jedi prior to watching Rise of Skywalker. They wanted to set up the whole old, grumpy mentor character, you know what I mean? The guy who would eventually train Rey. So at first he like all skeptical, like, no, I don't want to train you, blah, 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 right? So it's like a kind of counterpart to like how Yoda was, right? Kind of mischievous.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, like that. But, you know, people just want him to be like, oh, yeah, okay, cool. Rey, you look cool. Yeah, I'm going to train you. Yeah, let go. Let me give you the like rules of the Jedi, of the Force, right? Cool, yeah. Not be skeptical about it, no.
And I will always say, I've been, like, Luke Skywalker is one of my personal heroes, but I really loved what they did with him because, literally, Rian Johnson said, because, as I said, we'll get into this with Rise of Skywalker, but there wasn't really a plan for the whole trilogy. So Rian Johnson was left with J.J. Abrams' cliffhanger, and he had to write a follow-up. And so the first question he asked himself was, what would possibly happen that would make Luke cut himself off from the Force and cut himself off from even Leia?
Yeah.
And he built from that question. And so that's how we end up with a movie about a Luke that's that jaded and cynical. And it's both hilarious, but then Mark Hamill actually gets to show how much of an actor he has grown from when he did the original trilogy. And I really appreciate it. But
yeah, totally agree.
But no, I dug the hell out. And like from a dramatic standpoint, I love it. The final climax between Luke and Kylo Ren is still genius.
Yeah, I love that actually. I love that.
So damn good.
Oh, another stupid question. Somebody asks, "Oh, so why Luke did fly into to help save them? Why he had to send a projection of himself to do that?" But yeah, along with you, Claude, I absolutely loved The Last Jedi. It's not a perfect film, mind you, right? And I would agree. Right. Yes, Ryan took a little too much creative risks, especially with certain characters. But I love what it is he did, and compared to Force Awakens, why Doug is that. Like the first one, like Force Awakens is like, all right, this is a repeated episode 4, but it's played on this whole nostalgia again. People were blown away by it. People loved it so much. But this one was like, okay, we actually gonna do something a bit interesting. We actually gonna explore the Force a little bit more. We're gonna explore the Jedi a little bit more, right? And why somebody like Luke could be so jaded about it, right? I love how they expanded on Kylo Ren's character. This idea of him fighting, wanted to be good there, but
I love what they do with Kylo Ren in that movie so much. Like one of my favorite scenes, and I still revisit this and examine this, is the whole bit because I always used to complain that the first movie Kylo Ren was like he's like a fanboy constantly cosplaying as Vader. That's the impression I was. But
he
then
kind of was, and when people don't take him seriously, he would just take it out on the equipment. He would just take it out on the equipment and start to smash things about. Yeah.
And Snoke calls him out on it in The Last Jedi, and he smashed mask in rage. And I'm so happy because I was watching there going, "This Rian Johnson taking a jab at Abrams a little bit," and I'm kind of here for it.
Yeah. And compared to like what we got in Force Awakens, I kind of like that fight scene with Kylo and Rey versus Snoke. Like I love even like the set design is like very much like I said, like a kung fu
I don't like the choreography for that, but it's really I love how it's shot.
Yeah.
So
It's something about that red though in the background, right? But
the red and the flames.
About how that red looks. That it's a gradient, but it's how it looks, right? Yeah, and like the ending of it, just when they have the calls, the musical calls, loved it. You know what I mean? And compared to this one here that we'll get to eventually, I felt emotion, I felt tension in certain scenes. I felt, I felt actual emotion when I watched this. So compared to Force Awakens, where it's just like, well, we're doing this again, so we get to those moments again. That's what they did there, but this one felt more genuine.
Like the best comparison I can give is it's the difference between Force Awakens and Last Jedi is the difference between J.J. Abrams' first Star Trek and Star Trek Into Darkness and Star Trek Beyond.
Yes, yeah.
Is the best way I can describe it.
Yeah.
So another analogy I like using with JJ is that JJ is the tow truck driver. He'll pull your car out to the ditch, but is the ride you don't want, but is the ride you need right now to get the car to the ditch. And then
okay.
And here's the thing: you don't do a second ride in the tow truck. You only do one ride.
No, and you get it out of the ditch, and then you get something else.
Yeah, and that's kind of what with us with this is that we got a tow truck ride, and then we get a second tow truck ride, and it's like
So before we get to the second right?
Okay, well, let's just want to say about Last Jedi, which I did not expect it, but when it happened, when I saw it on Facebook, I really laughed. Was the fans themselves saying, "Oh, this is like them having this online petition saying that the Last Jedi should like be removed." You know what I mean? Like, well, it's blasphemous what you did with Leia and Luke and all that kind of stuff. This should be erased from like eternity, from the face of the earth. And I'm like, but you didn't make the movie, Jenny. You didn't make that call. You didn't distribute the film. So who's you to come and say, oh, like if we have enough signatures, yes, we'll erase this movie from existence.
What the heck?
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, but that was pretty funny though. When that happened, I was like, all right, y'all really taking this thing way too seriously.
And there was a group of fans that wanted to remake the movie with changes. Like, oh god.
What? This raise some money and make your own Star Wars film and see all that. We'll put it up on YouTube and see who cares, right? Well, before we get to Rise of Skywalker, let's talk about the well, it's not even so much the black sheep, but yeah, this forgettable entry. Solo, a Star Wars story.
Okay, real quick, I will say Solo for me. I saw that. I did see that in theaters. Solo for me is not great. It's not revolutionary or anything, but it is a good time. I will say that at the very least. Like, it's a movie that I enjoyed watching. It's a movie that I own and I occasionally rewatch because it's a fun. It's kind of a little bit like Phantom Menace or The Force Awakens. Like, it's a movie that I watch because I want a good time, not because I want. It's not complex Star Wars for me.
Right. Fair
my favorites. It's more of like, it's definitely more in like it's a good fun time. I think it probably would have made a decent amount of money if they had actually released it that Christmas instead of putting it up against Deadpool 2 and Avengers Infinity War.
Right. Yeah.
Which was
here's the thing. One of the problems one main problem with Solo is that because I know eventually what happens to Han Solo, I kind of don't care.
Right. I know, right? Like, imagine y'all did what all they did with Han in Force Awakens, which was ballsy, but it was necessary in terms of Kylo's arc. And now you come and say, hey, well, look at young Han, and let's show how he got his name. I still don't really care how he got his name, but whatever.
At that point, I didn't care because, like, when I saw that, it's like, all right, well, to me, if anything, you could have made a young Lando movie, and that would have worked better.
Oh yeah,
like they could have done instead. Because I don't know what happened to Lando at the point of when that came out, but I know what happens to Solo. I know what happens to Han Solo. It's like, well, and I had some fun with it, but it was just neither here nor there for me. And then they had this
here too, but they had a couple of cool moments, like the sort of train scene in the mountain. That was cool.
Oh, that was cool.
That was really cool. Yeah.
Ron Howard is too good a director for this movie to not be any good, and he definitely went full Western. Like, there's some shots that are lifted straight out of the Man with No Name trilogy.
Right.
And it's really like he definitely he should. I mean, unpopular opinion. I don't know why they bothered with Phil Lord and Chris Miller in the first place as directors. They should have just started with, because they had the Kasdans in to write it. They should have just started with Ron Howard directing. Or, as we've learned from The Mandalorian, if they wanted to get fresh talent, why didn't they get Bryce Dallas Howard to direct Solo?
I know, right?
Because her episodes of The Mandalorian are fabulous.
Yeah. We'll get to Mandalorian in a minute. Yeah.
Right.
Matter of fact, let me just jump into Mandalorian. Or you have anything else to say?
No, that's pretty much it. They had a couple of references. They had they had things that I thought they would have done and they didn't really do in Solo that I thought would have made it a little more interesting. Like that girl who they reveal, and I was like, oh, is that supposed to be some character? And then they like really say who she is. I thought she was clearly looking like the daughter of Woody Harrelson's character. Like I thought she was
right.
something. But then they don't go anywhere with it, so it's like, all right, well, whatever. If they did that
with Darth Maul, that
people
was I was like, okay,
not there for me because
where do we go from there? Like that's just like that Darth Maul moment was cool, but then I'm also like, where are we going with this?
Agreed. Yeah, same here too.
I know, like Star Wars, I think Clone Wars or one of the
Rebels, I think.
Rebels, one of them addressed this because everybody's saying, "Oh, Ahsoka Tano's supposed to come in at some point." I mean, a show going on there. So, like, all right, Darth Maul coming back because I think Clone Wars or one of those shows had a whole thing with Darth Maul, a whole arc.
Yeah, definitely. He shows up in both Clone Wars and Rebels. Although I was hilarious because I know so many people who've never seen those shows and they only know that Darth Maul was that guy who got killed in Phantom Menace. So they see him in Solo. Wait, what the hell?
Yeah, that was me actually.
So it's like I was neither here nor there for it, but it's like whatever, it's fine. But they ain't gonna do anything with it going forward. And I like, were they really gonna make a Solo 2? Are they gonna go forward with that? Sure, right?
No. Yeah. There is a campaign for it, and like if they made Solo 2, I mean, I'd see it. I mean, I think it'd work better as a series for Disney Plus.
Right. Exactly. Right.
And great segue there. So just one last show we're going to talk about before we get to the Rise of Skywalker. I know we kind of delayed the inevitable, right? The Mandalorian.
I adore this show. Yeah. I was skeptical. I mean, to be fair, not entirely skeptical because the talent they got involved, like Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni as showrunners.
Yes.
Right. I mean, obviously stellar talent right there. And they were very mysterious about the actual plot and like who was going to be in it and things like that. And then the other directors they assembled. So we got Deborah Chow, Rick Fumiyawa, I think his name is. Forgive me if I'm getting his name.
Famuyiwa.
Thank you. Famuyiwa. So Rick Famuyiwa, Bryce Dallas Howard. So we got a little legacy connection because she talked about. I saw an interview with her where she talked about learning directing from her father, but then also remembering being a kid and seeing her father on the set of Willow, which is another movie that I own that I adore, where like Lucas is giving him tips on how to direct and how to do things like that. And then you also get Dave Filoni making his live action debut in a couple episodes as well. Yes. And then the climax of I think the last episode of The Mandalorian is actually directed by my boy Taika Waititi.
Okay. Well, episode 8, yes. Well, the upcoming episode is going to be directed by Taika, actually.
And I have no idea what to expect. I mean, I've seen almost every movie he's made at this point. I love Ragnarok. I love Jojo Rabbit, What We Do in the Shadows, Hunt for the Wilder People. And I loved him as the IG droid in the first episode of The Mandalorian. Yes. But as to what... This is a man who once said he wouldn't do a Star Wars movie because he felt that the definition of what is Star Wars is a little too rigid. So the idea is somehow they got him to change his mind, and I have no idea what to expect.
I gotta straight up tell you, Moff Gideon is my new senpai right now. Like, I thought it was a great introduction of a villain. That last episode was so good. So yeah, we are just waiting for that now.
I've seen up until the last episode I saw was the Gunslinger, I believe.
Oh, okay. Well, last I saw was The Prisoner, right, which is right after the Gunslinger. Pretty good. Pretty good. People's hyping it up a little too much. But I know that new one. Recent one, The Reckoning. We haven't seen that as yet, but that's another to watch.
Oh yeah, I didn't see that one too.
Yeah, but yeah, well, we mentioned before on our podcast, we have been totally enjoying The Mandalorian. I did not expect that there was going to be referencing, just a straight up reference to, Lone Wolf and Cub, right? The idea of this loader and he has to protect this child. I thought that was really cool. The Western references are really dug. It, especially the character of the Mandalorian has this man with no name vibe with him. You know what I mean? I really dig that. I love how simple the story is. You know, we doesn't to really think about too much. Like I make the joke on Facebook that they spend a lot of money on this. You could tell with each and every episode, it looks very cinematic. And Ludwig come through with a fantastic score for this. That team song, I don't know, I just love that music so much. I love that. And I'm just really definitely excited to see, Taika's. I believe this is going to be the final episode of this, if I'm not mistaken. Which is coming out, after Christmas, right? After Boxing Day, actually, we're going to get that one. Anything else you want to read on The Mandalorian? How awesome it is?
No, what I love about it is it's a show that at first promises to be the man with no name, and then after the first episode, it becomes Lone Wolf and Cub.
Right.
Yes. Is the best way to describe it. That is genius to me. Because the first episode, to be fair, I thought it was a pretty good start, but, someone online said this first episode, they better do something with this character because otherwise I feel like I'm just watching an action figure. And I need to, once you introduce the kid, suddenly you have a lot more suddenly this character is a lot more interesting. I don't know. There's something, he has to open up. He can't keep, the literal hard shell exterior thing going. It makes him a lot more interesting and engaging as a character.
Yeah.
I really love that part of it. And plus, here we get a bunch of directors all proving that they should have been given Star Wars movies at some point.
Yes. Totally.
I'm very excited because Deborah Chow, who directed two episodes of the show that I think people agree are two of the best. I can't remember which ones, but she's the one who's directing the Obi-Wan series for Disney Plus.
Right.
Okay.
Which is going to be very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And who doesn't love Baby Yoda, right? Who doesn't love Baby Yoda?
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that guy.
I like the fact that they're doing the thing where no one really understands the Force or is largely ignorant of it in the Star Wars.
Yes.
Because it still does it because it's reminiscent of the Rogue One stuff. It's like, Star Wars is much more interesting when you keep the Jedi out it for 2 seconds. It's like, let us not see the Jedi for a little while. See how people had to deal with bullshit in the normal thing, and enjoy that. By the way, it has so many great cameos in this. Bilbo was good in his episode. People like Brian Posehn and all these little side people.
Yeah, what wasn't I was kind of iffy with Amy Sedaris's appearance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, well,
I mean, I like Amy, but still, I don't know.
I think they get Clancy Brown to come through. I like, that's cool.
Yeah. A lot of great cameos in this show for sure, man. Yeah. So I mean, Mandalorian has been doing its thing, and I would say though, it does feel like this is not a bad thing. It does feel like this is something that should have come out in the 2000s, right after I would say Revenge of the Sith. This should have been the next direction for the Star Wars series instead of this brand new trilogy.
Why I appreciate it so much is because it does feel the closest to the Tartakovsky stuff.
Yes, it does.
You got a point.
Especially with the simplistic writing.
Yeah. And like I admitted, it clearly caters into the EU crowd, right? All of the people who hate Last Jedi and whatnot. It kind of spraying something in their direction. Like, all right, okay, whatever. It's fine.
All right, so let's now get into the highly anticipated conclusion of the Skywalker saga called
Jesus Christ.
The Rise of Skywalker. Yeah. Claude, if you don't mind. If you don't mind, Claude, just want to give us just run through what the story is about, just a synopsis. Oh yes, by the way, guys, we kind of have to go into spoilers because we did that last time with Force Awakens. But yeah, we have to go into spoilers here. So, Claude, what is the Rise of Skywalker about in a nutshell?
Okay, so if you remember, The Last Jedi ends with the Resistance in ruins, left on a handful of ships that are fleeing the First Order that is now assuming power as Snoke has been killed and Kylo Ren is now the supreme leader. Rise of Skywalker immediately opens by throwing all that setup out, and it And it opens with a text crawl that informs us that Palpatine is alive and has been alive this entire time and is planning his revenge on the rebellion and the Jedi and the galaxy once more, and is hiding out on a planet in the unknown regions where he is amassing some kind of sinister force called the Final Order. Kylo Ren goes looking for him and finds him in the first 10 minutes of the movie. He locates him, and Palpatine makes him a deal. He will allow him to add the might of the Final Order to the First Order, but he has to track down and kill Rey. Meanwhile, the Resistance is trying to rebuild, and they also have learned this threat from Palpatine that they're going to wipe out the galaxy because, yet again, we're dealing with planet-destroying technology. Because apparently each of these ships that Palpatine have the power to destroy planets, and he will unleash this upon the galaxy in a matter of days. So Poe, Finn, Rey, Chewbacca, BB-8 are board the Millennium Falcon and race to find a clue that will lead to. They're trying to find. They will find a clue that will lead them to this mysterious planet in the unknown regions where Palpatine is, so they can do a preemptive strike on him and save the galaxy.
Right.
Yeah. That's pretty much it. Yeah.
Plot.
So who wants to begin here? Who wants to share their honest opinions on
can I?
Okay, I'm gonna start.
Well. All right. Well, let Ricardo start off first, right? And then I'll jump.
Go.
Do not take a second ride in the tow truck. Right?
No.
This is Star Wars. This is Star Wars. This is Star Wars Into Darkness. This is what happens.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is what happens.
Even right now to bringing back old characters that nobody asked for.
Yeah.
Nobody
It's nostalgia in all the worst ways, and appealing to the fan base in all the worst ways.
Yep.
And now here's I don't hate this movie. I wasn't angry at this movie, but I was watching it. I was pissed off. I was. I was like, well, okay. The shame. Here's the thing. The editing and pacing pulled it on a lot, and the script needed a lot of punching up. But I think that's okay ideas. It's a shame they couldn't sit down and work this out and hammer it out proper. Because how it comes across is as if, well, you could just watch The Force Awakens, skip The Last Jedi, and then watch this film and treat this film like two movies in one. That's
that's exactly. And it's kind of funny too because actually this recent article from IndieWire, apparently J.J. Abrams reject the idea that that this movie here was trying to undo The Last Jedi.
No, it doesn't.
Johnson does. So like, okay, so
no, it does not really. I don't think it's like any kind of mean-spiritedness or anything like that, right? But
no, right.
Does come across like that, at least to me, because like everything that had like a logical space in Last Jedi is thrown out. Like little simple things like Rey flying the X-wing in that moment. I was like, wow, that's kind of the whole point to show why it is that Luke didn't get off the planet though. They show the X-wing underwater. Little things like that. And I was like, wow, that kind of undermined it. But then they did a couple of things I did like. The full Force dyad double thing that they did with Ren and Rey, I was enjoying that. Because they continue and build from The Last Jedi with that. And this ability to, basically teleport objects effectively, right?
Yeah,
right. Okay, that was cool.
I thought that was okay. Again, this is just me being nice, and I'm gonna stop being nice very soon, right?
Yes.
No, I know a way to stop you being nice, but I have to explain it.
So I thought so Rey's origin is not the worst thing in the world. That could have been worse.
Oh my god.
Right now I was expecting
oh my god.
I wasn't expecting Rey Binks.
Oh, okay.
Right?
yeah.
But I was saying Rey Palpatine is not the worst idea because I get what he was trying to go for with the whole you could reject your past kind of stuff. The problem is that whole thing is so clumsy.
It is unbelievably clumsy.
Unbelievably clumsy.
The whole thing is so clumsy though. So it's like, wow, this not working on. And here's the big thing. Here's the big thing.
Go ahead.
If this film, okay, me just being nice and I'm not finished. if this film did the set pieces well, or did the set pieces better, I wouldn't have mind. But because the editing sets it up, it just kind of fall flat now. So like the supposedly big moment with Lando coming back with all the ships, it's like, wow, that fall flat too.
Yeah, I felt nothing in that moment though. I should be exhilarated at that scene though.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
But
no.
They're trying to do a kind of Avengers Endgame kind of vibe with a kind of the galactic version of Dunkirk, right? But it's not working. And it's because of the editing. The editing don't pace it very well. They don't build it up very well. Like you see at the end of Avengers Endgame, they build that up so perfectly.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
That is so needed. If this film did that, I wouldn't have a problem. Right? I wouldn't have a big problem with the film. It's like, okay, you could fight down the plot and blah blah blah. But it could at least, if it had good editing, none of the editing work. Like the scene where Rey had to do the big jump over Kylo's ship and slice the wing off. That has kind of come out of nowhere from what was the scene before. Like it's not connected.
It feels like
yes, we saw it in the trailer. Yes, we saw it in the trailer, but at the same time, it's like the setup for it. I'll talk about setup in a bit.
It feels like that shot only exists because they needed something for the trailer.
Yeah,
exactly. And there's something from the Force Awakens I'm still mad about. Holy shit! Why is that they couldn't get the Raid Redemption guys to the Knights of Ren? They're totally wasting Knights of Ren.
Yeah. I was so excited to see the Knights of Ren, and then they just like there's as background. This as
and then get about quick in the ending. I was thinking,
Kylo is cool. It's not even like the final duel with Kylo is any interesting or cool. It's just because that's one of the bits about Last Jedi. That's one of the bits about Last Jedi that fans got really upset about. It's like because oh man, guys, because I hate the Knights of Ren setup. All right, so first movie. They talk about the Knights of Ren and talk about Natasha. And it's like, oh my God, it's the Knights of Ren. And then the Last Jedi happens, and we don't see them, and everyone's like, where are the Knights of Ren? This is a big deal.
Well, to be fair, the Last Jedi they just mentioned that when Kylo decided to leave, well, he took some of the students or the disciples,
exactly,
and left. That's that's all right, cool.
So, but then in this movie, it's clear that J.J. Abrams knew that fans were expecting more because you get moments like I hate this moment so much where it's like the fans are where it's like Kylo Ren, he's with the Knights of Ren, and they're walking, and one stormtrooper says to the other, dude, that's the Knights of Ren, and it's like,
I remember that. Yes.
And then they're in like 3 scenes. And it's not even like the final duel where Kylo Ren fights them all is interesting.
Right. Here's the thing. Kylo Ren becoming Ben Solo again, not a bad idea. But again, pacing. Holy shit. Like it just happened so fast.
Yeah, totally agree.
Such a miss. And then like the final duel, come on. I will say the prequels handled. Okay, there's a similar concept to this. The prequels handle. So you'd think that Kylo Ren going up against the other former Jedi that he went rogue with from the days when they were all training with Luke would have more impact.
Right.
You'd think this would be Kylo Ren fighting against 6 other former Jedi and be like. It would be interesting. It'd be cool. Especially since there's that one who's walking around with this Final Fantasy sword over his shoulders.
Oh, yeah.
And you think that it's going to be this big thing. But it's intercut between that and Rey fighting Palpatine's Red Guards on the Sith homeworld that's been retconned yet again. And because they have retconned the Sith homeworld like 3 times. Like 4. The comics said one thing. The video game said it's something else. It was Korriban, and then like the Clone Wars said it was Morgoth or something, and now this is something completely different.
Yeah.
They have retconned this crap so many times. So part of my problem with the movie, honestly, is that and the problem is that it's very confusing until you hear the production behind it, and then it makes so much more sense. Because originally what happened, and everyone forgets this, when Disney first announced the trilogy, the plan was each film would be handled by a different director. So you have J.J. Abrams to start it off, Rian Johnson does 2, and then Colin Trevorrow, Jurassic World, Book of Henry, does 3. When he turned in his draft for episode 9, he was fired.
Okay.
Wow.
His draft was so bad that they fired him on the spot. The Book of Henry.
Like he couldn't even write a second draft.
Okay. Good question. I always thought that they're being judged by what movie they did, because I heard a quick rumor that this was for a slight minute. There was also a rumor that Ava DuVernay was going to be the director of Nine, and then she did Wrinkle in Time, and Wrinkle in Time was like a complete failure. No? So they they drop her one.
It was, yeah.
It was because of the film, not because of the draft.
But the reason I bring up the Trevorrow draft is that it leaked online. And I remember reading, and I remember listening to that leak and going, wow, this is crap. I can see why he was fired. Thank God it won't show up in the movie. But the sad thing is it actually kind of does. Like, if you watch this movie, Colin Trevorrow still has a script credit. So what happened was they rewrote Trevorrow's draft with J.J. Abrams, but instead of the Kasdans, they brought in a writer that I have grown to hate.
Yes,
Chris
I know
Terrio, who started out with Argo, but most people know him for his 2 follow-up movies, Batman vs. Superman and Justice League.
Ah, yes. Ah, yes.
And you can tell.
Like
a huge problem I have with Rise of Skywalker is the dialogue.
Yeah.
There are abysmal lines in here. Any of the humanity and the quip and the natural quippiness that either of the Kasdans brought to the Star Wars scripts is gone.
Right.
Like, it's not Attack of the Clones bad, but it is very there. It almost has its Martha moments at times. Basically, like, it almost has its moments of what even was that line? Like, what is going on? What are you doing right now? Moments to it, and then like the pacing is for me abysmal. Like, the movie is one long, never-ending action scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, no moment to really like process what's going on, or
None.
like grace period between these scenes.
Nothing.
Yeah,
because I just comparing this to the end of The Last Jedi when Luke and Kylo Ren faced off. I just thought that sequence was so good, especially knowing the end of it where there's this big fake out by Luke.
Yeah,
and as this is so well done, and like, so to see this, like, oof, it was rough.
Yeah.
It's worked. All of the big pieces, like the fight with Kylo Ren and Rey on the fallen Death Star. Whatever. It's not fight.
Okay, I actually thought those it looked good. It was kind of cool.
It looked good, but I don't care about it. It looking okay. I ain't saying it's not good. It's just I don't care about it.
Yeah.
It's atrocious.
Yeah. All right. Well, let me just share my thoughts. Right. I don't want to be too long with it. Right. So I agree with all you like entirely up to this point. Right. So let me at least just get the good out of the way, because it is good. Visually, yes, it's still very well made. I mean, it's a Star Wars movie, so you know what to expect by now. You know, I mean, great wide shots and some really cool set pieces as well, especially involving Palpatine, right? Like the dark sort of like lightning lit kind of scenes and whatnot, really dark and ominous. Some really cool stuff visually, right? Music, I mean, John Williams do his thing as usual, come through with great music. There was a lot of callbacks, though, some of which made my eyes roll. I'll tell you which ones. Well, I'll mention a couple actually. But yeah, I mean, John Williams do his thing, man. He do his thing, right? Adam Driver, I would say probably we could argue about this. I think that he was the best character in this, and that's not really saying a lot given the cast that we have here. Just mainly because of what his character was going through up to a certain point. Like, you could tell that even with the little bit that he have, or the underdeveloped character that he was given here, the man at least come through and do his best. So at least he gave a shit. Can't really say that for I don't want to say everybody else, but yeah, but like people like
Harrison Ford doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, clearly. I'll talk about those cameos in a bit, right? But yeah, I mean, Adam Driver really did his best to give justice to that character. I mean, look at like his character setup from Force Awakens to this point, and you're thinking to yourself, oh, well, at least they can make sense of where he going to go as far as character. And no, not really. No, that to me that's as far as praise goes, way. But to me, the main problem with this thread is, look, I understand people did not like Last Jedi and whatever went on behind the scenes, but at least what JJ could have done, at least kind of sit down with Ryan for like about a couple hours or 2 days and be like, okay, This is what we want to do. We want to still have the stuff that was set up in the first movie, but we want to continue what you set up, Ryan, in the second one. But it's still going to be like my thing there. So we're going to have a little bit of continuity here. And that's the issue. Say what you want about the prequel films, right? That's episode 1 to 3. At least there was a level of consistency there because it was one person. It was George Lucas. It was his ideas. Yeah, okay, we could talk about Anakin's character and blah, and all that kind of stuff. But there was a beginning, there was a middle, and an end. And yes, you could argue too that, okay, Last Jedi kind of punctuated everything. So it's like, oh, well, this is kind of like the end. We don't really need to see what happens next. But that's what I love about Last Jedi is that they left it at such a high point. Like, oh, well, now we want to see what happens next, sir. And then we reach here, and now you're telling me Palpatine is alive, like the dead speak. At least that's what they say in the title crawl. I think that's what they say. So, how come there was no mention of Palpatine in Force Awakens? Like, now, out of the blue, he's this big threat. Why? Because he erased, Snoke because, people didn't like how Snoke got killed halfway in the movie, which I
let's make it even less important.
Yeah.
So let's make it even less important. There's that weird shot on the planet where lightning flashes and reveals a whole tank full of Snokes.
Right.
Like, what do I do with that image, Abrams?
No explanation of that. You know what I mean? No explanation. And this is another thing that really ran me up a wall with this movie here. No real explanations to certain things, and like they don't even answer certain questions that was set up like from the last 2 films. So, case in point, Force Awakens. Lupita Nyong'o's character, Maz, right? She mentioned, well, I think it was Finn, right? I'll get to Finn. Finn asks, or was it Han, right? What you do with where do you get Luke's lightsaber from? And then she says, I'll tell you another time. They never do. They never get back to it. And even she herself.
Did I explain that?
Yeah, and even she herself totally wasted. She just in the background doing nothing. Same thing I would say at the star character. I know people hate Rose. Yeah.
They downplayed so much. I literally read a thing earlier today where someone's like, why did they create a female companion for Finn who rides space horses and hacks First Order tech to replace the companion to Finn who rode space horses and hacks First Order tech? Like, why?
Why bring a new character?
Why make a brand new character there? It's infuriating.
Yeah, they gave her nothing to do. And I'm not saying stop the show to give she a 5 minutes where she bickering or, expression she love or whatever it is to Finn. I'm not saying that, but give her something to do. Give her a purpose. Give her something to do. They try to do something with Poe. They try to. They have an opening that still. And I only saw this movie yesterday at the time it was recorded. I still trying to figure out why this happened. As him basically escaping the First Order, and he keeps doing these kind of hyper jumps or whatever you call it, right? It just keeps popping up in certain areas. It's just one after the next, one after the next. And I'm watching this thing. I'm like, yeah, but why do?
My younger brother, when we're watching the movie, my younger brother leans across to me and says, "Every one of those planets was on the Clone Wars," and I'm like, "Oh, great, fan service."
So that's why it's there. Okay.
And I'm like, "Oh, perfect." It's like, great, more fan service.
Yeah.
like a certain Ewok that shows up at the end of the movie.
God,
right.
Damn it! When I saw
that was obnoxious. I'm like, why?
Yeah, and I don't like Ewoks. I still hate them. But when I saw them shooting Ewoks, I was like, fuck, why? But anyway,
literally, it had all the vibes of I'm Wicket E. Warwick and I approve this message. It's just
yeah. Right.
So, we're sorry you didn't like Last Jedi. And I will say, I've heard that there was bad blood behind the scenes because J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson were actually throwing shade at each other up to the premiere of the movie.
Not surprised by this.
Like J.J. Abrams had this whole passive-aggressive comment where he talked about how he thought that The Last Jedi was a very bold movie, but he felt that what fans really wanted from a Star Wars film was something more satisfying, and that's what he wanted to do with Rise of Skywalker, to which Rian Johnson shot back that he felt that the purpose of a movie should be to give fans what they should be to challenge fans, not to pander to them.
Yep.
His words. So There is clearly tension going on there.
And look, J.J. Abrams, I've been very clear about this with Abrams. He's a person who's very good at pastiche, right?
Yes, that he is. I mean, look at the Star Trek trilogy, right? Look at what he did with that.
Yeah, he's very good at that. He knows how to shit like Super 8 and whatnot. He knows how to make you feel of the past. But I prefer Rian Johnson. All the problems that I have, I prefer Rian Johnson's approach. This film just disappointed me and was underwhelming.
Yeah.
Should have been the one that they got to do 9.
Yeah, I agree, because they should have gotten Ryan to do 9. Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Yeah, but this one already the characters quickly, right? Yeah.
Right.
Finn. Oh well, he suddenly decided that he does not want to be a stormtrooper anymore. They don't even explore that. Like, they don't even come back to it. In this one here, they
kind of say something with the new girl, but it's like, all right, well.
Yeah, because you're right. Talk about that new girl.
Oh Lord.
Yeah. So what is her name? Let me find it quick. Jana, that's her name, right?
Jana.
So I was under the impression, because she's a former stormtrooper, right? In the first order. I thought, well, okay, all right, the black, so okay, they could build a kind of relationship there, and I don't know, maybe Rose might watch them like, oh, so Clay, you know what? Any chicks no more? Okay, cool, but. Something a little playful there. You know what I mean? Unless a little tiny bit of tension here. But no, they don't even do anything with that. They don't explore Jana's character all that well. They have this painfully awkward scene at the end involving she and Lando Dren. I'll get to OGs in a bit. And at first when I watched it, I was like, okay, is she supposed to be Lando's daughter or something like that? But there is what Lando say afterwards. Well, we could find out. So I'm like, what?
Okay, so
wait, you trying to hit on shit?
No.
Where this come from?
There was stuff left on the cutting room floor that implied that Lando had a daughter stolen, and that was why he left the Resistance, and so that's what that was up to.
Right.
Which I'm glad they cut, because this movie already has too much foreshadowing.
Okay, but how you deliver that line? Well, maybe we should find out. That was creepy though.
I thought so too.
A little bit.
But the smile he have. I mean, no disrespect to Billy Williams, right? No disrespect. But the man just delivered that line real creepy though. I just see, right?
Right.
But I
get a feeling that they want to give her a show, or she's gonna be in a future show maybe. On Disney Plus. I'm not sure. Because they just build up to that, and like just for it to not go anywhere is ridiculous. So I don't know what Star Wars content they're doing, but I feel we'll be seeing her in the future.
Okay, cool. All right, so let me just run through the OGs quick, right? So C-3PO, wasted. Like somebody tell me, oh well, C-3PO gets more screen time compared to Force Awakens and Last Jedi, but it's what? Oh well, I forgot this stuff. I'm gonna erase my memories. And yeah, like this real cool moment though. Kind of cool, but it just kind of fall flat though.
I really hated C-3PO in this movie, Jared. Like I always hate C-3PO. Kind of a crappy character for me. He just kind of annoying.
Okay. I just always saw him as this is George Lucas always referencing that character from what is Akira Kurosawa's the Hidden Fortress. So that we have to stream again and again because we remember him, right? But there's really no purpose really in these movies.
No, listen, he's always an annoying character to me, but whatever, he's a point of view character, so once you keep him to a minimum, he's okay. But in this, holy shit, I hated him in this. And then Anthony Daniels got a little cameo himself as one of the pilots. You saw that?
Oh, okay. I didn't notice that.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Anyway.
Well, you're right. So this moment here where he delivers this line, if this mission feels it was all for nothing, what we've done all this time. And that to me just kind of sums up the whole movie right there. Yeah. They feel it was kind of all for nothing when you really think about it, right? But yeah, this whole thing with him with the memory loss and all that kind of stuff was pointless, and then they just had to do it again, and it was just to introduce some little miniature alien character. It was like, why?
Because like that scene actually for me was like it felt kind of powerful because like oh shit they're sacrificing something because like 3PO's memory be wiped, the guy we love is gone, and then later R2 has a backup. Oh good.
Yeah. So totally with
rewatching that movie knowing that
I hated all
throwaway lines. That's what I hated about this as well. It's a bunch of throwaway line moments. Like another moment as well. You thought Chewie died, and he's not dead, and you don't feel nothing one way or the other.
Well, that's right. Like, I was gonna get to him. I was gonna get to Chewbacca, boy. What was that with? Oh, Chewie's dead. Oh no! And then like about a minute later, oh well, here's a signal coming from somewhere. I know he was actually in this compartment somewhere. They just totally like deflate that jet. What was that?
Like crap. The whole Chewie death fake out and then the reveal he was alive, because they showed he was alive too early. Because the problem was there's this great moment where like they all get back on the ship and they part their course and they're like for Chewbacca and then they head out. The problem is they edited it so they already showed us he was alive before that. So we're watching them going, for Chewbacca, we're gonna do this. And
but the audience knows he's still alive though. Come on. Yeah.
And that kills that moment.
Right.
And then the bit at the very end, which another blatant fan service moment, when Maz finally gives him his medal.
Oh, right. Yeah.
The one he didn't get from New Hope, and I'm like, come on.
I didn't even pick up on that though, to be honest, right? But fan service. I'll get to that. Yeah.
They had this character. What's her name by Carrie? What's the actress name by? She plays.
Which one?
Oh, Kerry Russell. Yeah. They had her as this Mandalorian-esque love interest of sorts for Poe, and they do nothing with it. They try to do something clever with, when Poe kind of watching, she kind of like, oh, so we could die. She kind of get on, and she like, no, like ha 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 ha. That's funny, but there was no point. There was no point to her role, to her the film to begin with. She's an old friend, like okay, whatever. But yeah, that's right. To the OGs quickly, right? Leia, okay, I get what he was going for. I get that he wanted to end her arc, right? It was cool. The couple of scenes, the couple of moments with her and Rey were warm and nice. I get what they're trying to do.
They were.
It was going good until they reached that fight between Rey and Kylo. I was enjoying it. I was enjoying this visually how it looked, right? I was trying to get invested, but sorry, I just wasn't. I wasn't invested in anything. I just see them fighting. You see like the waves crashing, all that kind of stuff. And then just out of the blue, he sends Leia, and so I wasn't sure if like similar to like Last Jedi, where Leia actually do some kind of thing with the Force, and it kind of drained she out, and that's why she died. It just kind of happened that he just said something, and she just did a silhouette on a bed, and she dies. But I did like, but you never set up as being as dying though. Not like in Last Jedi where she do her thing, the Force thing in space, and yeah, she was hospitalized. Like especially if you see the first time, you tell yourself, oh well, maybe she could die here. But no, they did. At least they allow her to survive, and they do the whole tribute at the end. Cool. But this one, she just do something and then she just dead.
Right. Here's the thing with that. I kind of get, again, not the worst idea, but bad pacing. So I get that he should have died immediately with the stab, and then she save him, and then Rey save him again. And because, well, I don't know if you saw this episode, but in Mandalorian, Baby Yoda did that same thing. Baby Yoda could do the Force heal.
Okay,
right?
Okay.
There's a reason why they put that episode right before the movie comes out.
Yeah, I watch that. They expected everybody, the whole wild world, who going to watch Rise of Skywalker to see that. So when Rey does it out of the blue, it's like, oh, okay, right, man. I know what's going on here, right?
Right, exactly. And then that's effectively what happened. And I was like, okay. And then they had her heal, and then in the ending when he heals her at the end. So it's more Force life sharing stuff. I don't hate that idea. Don't hate the idea.
It's a great idea, but the setup though.
Pacing, boy, jeez, boy.
Yeah, pacing and setup. There was no setup as to, we seen how Kylo's turn to the dark side really affected Leia, especially after the death of Han. We never really saw that. It's just that, you're kind of halfway done with your training, Rey, but I can still hug you because you had to do this mission. So bye. I know what else I'm going to see you again, and that's it, right?
See,
and
my biggest gripe with the Leia stuff is that it's painfully clear that they kind of assembled it from unused scenes.
Yeah, which they did.
Yeah. We know.
And it's so blatant. It is very blatant, blatantly apparent. Yeah. I did not expect in a million years to see Han Solo and Luke in this one, way.
Right.
When I saw that, I was like, okay, this is clearly fan service, way.
Yeah.
And not so much. Well, okay, so Luke clearly was just to kind of rectify what fans hated with Last Jedi, I guess. So he all like, well, you know what? I kind of a little bit lesson now, and yeah, I'm down with you doing what it is you have to do, and it's important, Ray. You got to do that stuff. The moment where they raise the X-wing and they hear that familiar score, that's when I roll my eyes, Red.
I know, right?
That I was like, really, JJ?
Are we doing this? Are we doing this, JJ?
This is where we going. This is where we going with this. You want to talk about heartstrings like this? Nah, man. But the Han Solo part, way, I was like, wow. Did not see that one coming a mile away, dude.
Well,
and yes, clearly he do it for the paycheck, right? And yes, I do like the part where they kind of repeat the same conversation they had before Han died, like just rebooting it. That was kind of cool, again, but it was just painfully apparent that they just bring in Harrison Ford, just give her a paycheck. Oh, you just have 2 minutes. Just do this stuff, please.
It's a memory, yeah. It's not a Force Ghost or anything like that. I like that. It's fine.
Right.
Again, they had to piece out Kylo Ren, turn into the good side, and they just didn't make it.
Yeah. And that's really one of the biggest flaws of this show. Yeah, is the pacing. It moves unbelievably fast at times, though, and it's just hard. They don't even give it time to relax, though, to take in what's going on. And then when they do give it time to relax, it's just a bunch of lines, poorly written lines, and just things that you just have to kind of remember, like, oh, right, this is what happened back then, and oh, this is what really going on. Okay, and they just try to rush at things there to get to the next big set piece.
Well, the Han Solo bit stinks to me that in the original Colin Trevorrow draft, written when Carrie Fisher was still alive, that was supposed to be Leia as a Force ghost. But then they rewrote it after her death as Harrison Ford appearing as the memory of Han Solo. Because otherwise, and then like it stinks of a rewrite, and it feels like, and as you said, like Harrison Ford doesn't care.
Yeah, you could tell. Just by the way he body movements is just like
they couldn't even get him to shave.
Yeah. And you know this character right here. I'm done with the OGs, right? Oh yes, I forgot to mention Lando himself, boy. Yes, like seeing Billy, but was there a need for him to be in this movie? This is supposed to be the return of the Jedi of this, so we have to have Lando. Hey, there you go. Right. And this is like the other OG character that we haven't seen so far in this new trilogy. But I felt that he was just didn't need to be there, to be honest.
Just there.
Yeah.
He's just there.
Yeah. But before we get to the elephant in the room, oh my god, General Hux, man.
Yeah.
It's a spy. Just like about a minute, I'm the spy, and like 2 minutes later, pew, dead. Yeah. I laughed at that shit. I was like,
oh, that was hilarious.
Wow.
Also, Richard E. Grant is fabulous in this. He was one of the highlights for me.
He was. Yeah, I'll give him that.
He reminded me of the generals from the OG trilogy that actually, had a blast playing these bad guys. Like, because they always got these like kind of British theater actors to play the original Imperial commanders, and Richard E. Grant is having a blast. So like the scene when he kills Hux and walks off like, I have found the spy. I'm just like, yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was really going back there. And I kind of dug, the few moments where, Kylo was real trying to be all tough and intimidated, especially with the new mask on, and like, yeah, we're going to do the Darth Vader stuff all over again and be really intimidated there. Until they get to the whole Knights of Ren stuff, which is totally wasted, right? But elephant in the room, though, Rey herself, way. And yes, I mean, I like these really.
And the other OG character.
Yeah. But here, boy, I thought that it was really going to end her arc strongly, and I get what they were going for, boy. But once again, they just rushed everything, but they didn't answer certain questions. One of which I forgot to mention include that pit that was in Last Jedi, which I understand they was trying to say, well, even on an island like this where it's away from all this Jedi nonsense, right? All this food, all this stuff, there's still balance. There's still good and bad here. But they never really go deep into that. They have this moment where you thought you were going to see who her parents were, you didn't really see that. So you're there still like, okay, well, all right, maybe they're gonna answer this question, who really she parents is, and it still says the whole junk tree and stuff, blah blah blah. But when God, when Palpatine see how she is, you are my granddaughter. I legit just did a in Cinema Dread, and then I rolled my eyes after that. I was like,
I was because what Ryan Johnson
who is Palpatine's son or daughter, and why should we care at this point?
Apparently, the son. Not a son. So the son is one who got married, and then the son. So when they say nobodies, is really he tried to be good, but he became a nobody, and that's the BS argument.
And that's okay. No, I hated that because one of the things I thought that Last Jedi did brilliantly was after they showed Rey's power level in Force Awakens, everyone assumed she had to be the secret child of a legacy character because that's the reveal we had with Luke in the original trilogy.
Right.
So and I love even in sorry to cut you there. I love even in Last Jedi when they play around with the idea of maybe she could be related to Luke, maybe, or to Leia, maybe.
But then
and just play back and forth at that.
But then ultimately, what she finds out is that she's actually nobody. Like her powers don't come from anywhere. She's just her. And so there's this whole thing of your parents would just, but basically your parents sold you for tequila. Basically, like it's this great moment, especially since like that is devastating for that character. That's the last thing she wants to hear right now, and it's such a gut punching moment. So
what I liked about
go ahead.
What I liked about that is that it did the whole correcting of the Force thing. Though. I like that because to me, everything involving Anakin's legacy has to go away. Right? Anakin is poison. Anakin and all of his legacy has to go away, and really only Kylo Ren is the end point of that. So you either have to have Kylo Ren not be Kylo Ren anymore, or have him die. And well, they kind of did both, right? This. But I thought Rey being a nobody, and then when they reveal with the slave boy at the end and Broom Boy, at the end of Last Jedi, I thought that was a great thing. I was like, oh no, this is the Force correcting itself by just giving somebody, nobody anywhere, a fix, and just having them be the one to be the be the new hero.
Or just somebody being aware of the Force and being able to do good with it. Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
Exactly.
We completely undo it. So let's undo it completely.
Yes, because why not, right? Right, and I understand some people say, well, maybe that's why the reason Rey's so overpowered and why she learns all these things so quickly. But still, what kind of explanation is this? There's no explanation actually. It's just
this is not an explanation.
Right.
Because I would argue, I think this is a thing that should have gone back for Force Awakens. I still in the camp that think that should have had. To me, Finn should have been the main character instead. He should have been the Force user.
Right.
I think the story may have worked better. And I don't know what you have to do with Rey. Either you have Rey be more Han Solo-ish character, because she like nobody the Millennium
Falcon and all that kind of stuff. That would be cool, yeah.
That would be cool.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, but I mean, it's Monday quarterback in, so I don't know. But
yeah, but that whole reveal thing made no sense to me. Just Palpatine's existence made no sense to me. And I'll just round things up here, right? But the third act, though, this. And I get what they're going for, just bigger and larger life. We expect that because it's the conclusion. We had to throw everything at the wall, right? But my God, boy, like it was just like, okay, it was style over substance. Yes, I love the set.
Way
how dark it was. Okay, I get that, right? But Palpatine, like all these years, and it just take you just sucking the Force, quote unquote, from both Kylo and Rey, and suddenly you have these lightning powers. You can just chuck it up a bunch of ships. When I saw that took me out the movie completely. Yeah.
Oh,
I was like, wait, you that powerful? How all of a sudden you that powerful? Out of the blue. How?
Well, because he get the love of the what is the again, they didn't explain the dyad thing. So when he was absorbing their powers, he gets so much stronger and heal himself and blah blah blah. But I was like, again, not bad ideas. Just
pacing. And another thing I keep forgetting to mention though is setup. They don't set things up properly, so they just have things happen, and you're supposed to just react it. So like the first fight with Kylo and Rey looked good, but I didn't feel it. I didn't really get a proper setup. And speaking of setup between the two of them, okay, so for the first one, "You're a monster," right? That's what Rey said to Kylo after Han died, right? And then in the second one, "You're still a monster," right? In this one, okay,
let's make
do
out.
he think, and then suddenly she picks herself back up because she hear voices from a bunch of old actors and whatnot, which from a nostalgia perspective, I get, but set up once again, being one with the Force, really understanding the Force and whatnot, and then that scene would have been so much more impactful there. But no, it's just all of a sudden she just have all these powers because she's the granddaughter of Palpatine, right? So now she had Samuel L. Jackson and Hayden Christensen, right? Because powerful moment, right? And then suddenly two lightsabers it take for you to block attack from Palpatine, and then you suddenly defeat the man, and then she falls down, and then afterwards, Kylo give up. Well, one second. Well, Kylo give up. He force powers or he essence or whatnot, and then after all this bickering about "you're a monster," she looks at him totally and says, "Ben," and kisses him.
Right.
The only way it's more ridiculous is if he had pulled the sleeping beauty and kissed her back to life. That's the only way it could have been worse.
I get that, but no setup in terms of the relationship. No setup in terms of, we actually have to work together to stop this guy. No setup in terms of, hey, we actually kind of like each other now that we know we're not related. None of that. Just throw it away.
What I thought we would have gotten is that we'd have gotten like at least, again, I don't understand. This is one thing that bothered me. Again, you could sit down and make a good fight now. The whole Jedi teleporting thing. I thought we would have gotten that. So she have one lightsaber, he have another lightsaber, and like they could have been doing some kind of teleporting thing.
Thank you. I would have loved to see the two of them face off against Palpatine. One of them get licked down, and then but they want to do the Force Awakens thing again, where one character fighting get licked down, and I grab your lightsaber. Now I'm the one who has to do the finishing blow. Last thing last though. Now the ending for this didn't really piss me off though, but I know for like diehard fans here, this moment, boy, where she goes back to Tatooine, where Rey goes to Tatooine and she buries the two lightsabers, right? Kylo's and Luke's, right? And then this person comes and says, I don't know who you are. Who are you? And then she says, my name's Rey. And then you hear the music. You hear Luke's music, mind you.
Right.
That's when I knew what was about to come. But
Skywalker. Rey Skywalker. You didn't deserve that, Miss Lady. No offense.
No,
I know you're a cool character, whatnot, but you didn't deserve that. You don't turn to the left and see Luke and Leia, Force Ghosts and decide that you use a Skywalker. You didn't deserve that. You didn't see that arc throughout these three movies, not even in this one.
Yeah,
throughout the three movies, you didn't deserve that.
Because Ben heal her up, because Ben is kind of inside her now, right? That's what she says. Because Ben have his life force in her, so it's like she adopt the name, and again, there's the whole. Again, I don't hate this idea of what your real family is. It's not blood.
Yeah,
I
get that too. I get that
because of blood.
Set up and piece it. Set up and piece it.
I can keep going back to pieces. Yeah.
Yeah. Set it up properly. Piece it out well. So when that when that moment hits you, you feel it. Yeah. That is what Last Jedi did, and to an extent, that's what Force Awakens did. But this one just didn't do it, Dread, for a majority of these scenes, Dread. So we'll get to final thoughts and read it one time. So, I was back and forth with this one after I saw it. Like, me and my friends were just talking about it. I was like, this really did not work, Dread. Even my friend himself, who didn't like Last Jedi at all for, taking those creative risks, he actually preferred that one over this one. And then, like, the more I thought about it, I was watching some reviews and some of them were saying, well, it has some good stuff in it. I mean, it looked good and music and all that. But that's a given when it comes to these movies by now, Dread. But, the biggest argument people make is it was trying to be clean up from what Ryan did. Like, apparently, Ryan makes such a big mess that JJ had to come and clean it up. And, it was uneven. But at least he tried, though. So you have to kind of, like, no, it's not perfect, but you have to kind of let it slide because he knew he best. Yes, I understand that. Those are legit arguments, right? But, oh gosh, man, from a franchise that started from the late 70s to now, Dread, when you come in with a script this haphazard, dread, this all over the place like cluttered, dread, characters undeveloped, no real resolution to anybody, especially Finn, like no resolution to him at all. You rush racing, no real thing for Poe at all.
Yeah.
You bring the characters out of the blue for no reason. It's like at this point, Trent, at this point, why we still do this? Why we let this? Why should we let this slide, Trent? So at the end of the day, I would say while this is not one of the worst movies of all time, this was an absolute disappointment for me, Trent. I was back and forth as to whether I should give this a 2.5 or 2. But the more I think about it, the more how like the narrative stuff that they put in makes no sense when you think about it. Especially even if you know little about Star Wars, Jen, it just still makes no sense, Jen. There's no excuse for this, Jen. This was damage control in the worst way, Jen. So for me, this gets a strong 2 out of 5, man. I want my money back. That's my rating for this. And yes, I saw it on big screen. I didn't see it in IMAX, but I'm so happy I didn't spend extra money to see it there. But yeah, boy, there was no excuse for this being so bad. I understand. Last thing I'll say, understand the way that cap end the bookend this decade on a high note with this one, boy. But you all had 2 years, right? You all had 2 years to kind of figure out all this stuff, figure things out, come up with a coherent story that makes sense. And not just makes sense, but also justify everything that happened in the last 2 movies and end things off on a decent enough note. And they couldn't even do that, right? Like, at this point, at this stage where Disney's at right now, where Lucasfilm is at this point, they couldn't even do that. So yeah, this was a absolute disappointment for me. Strong 2 out of 5. Ricardo, last thoughts and rating on Rise of Skywalker.
I was expecting much worse, frankly, and it was somewhat tolerable. I wasn't mad at this, but the script needed a ton of punching up. It had some okay ideas, but really mostly pacing and editing issues brought it way down. Like if they had better editing and pacing, if they chop some stuff off, you really feel like this is what J.J. Abrams Part 2 and Part 3 should be in one movie. And I still hold on to my J.J. Abrams as tow truck driver analogy. Only one ride is needed, not 2.
Agreed.
I get us a CT8. That's a straight CC8. I don't hate it. It's just a shame that they couldn't really sit down with this one and really hammer it out properly. But yeah in my opinion, clearly inferior to Last Jedi. It doesn't just a lot of it just didn't work. Bad pacing. It just fell flat. I'm not going to see this a second time. I don't have any moments that impressive or blow me away. Like Last Jedi had moments I genuinely liked. This don't have anything like that. It's fall flat. Yeah.
Like even with a fallen Death Star and stormy seas and whatnot, I still kind of saw that fight with Kylo and Rey. I was like, whatever. Anyway, Claude, last words and rating on Rise of Skywalker.
There's a great picture that I've been posting on a lot of my different social media about this movie, where it has the Star Wars end credits and it says written and directed by Reddit.
Right.
That's how this movie feels like J.J. Abrams, who's not good at finishing things, was brought in to rewrite an even crappier script, and all he brought to the rewrites was an attempt to pander and appease fans that ultimately are never going to be satisfied. Like, he's trying to appeal to the very fans that are probably still going to hate this movie. So, blatant fan service. It's a messy, fast-paced movie that starts with action and ends with action with no breathing room in it. The editing ranges from decent to awful. It's got fun moments, but if I wanted just fun moments, I would either watch Force Awakens or Solo. And what stings even more is that this is supposed to be the grand final chapter of the Skywalker saga.
Yes.
This is supposed to be the grand finale. This is supposed to be the great ending point that, this is supposed to be the great high note on which the entire series ends before we move on to new adventures and new characters. This is the last story of the Skywalker saga, and this confused mess does not do it for me. I wish I had waited and streamed this. Seeing it in theaters was a mistake, especially with the lightning stuff. I am not epileptic, but I know a lot of people who had to skip out on this one because some of that lightning stuff was not visually balanced well. It was an issue. Right. So my final rating is a 4 out of 10.
Okay, nice.
Easily weakest of the Disney era for me. Not as bad of a Star Wars movie overall as Attack of the Clones. It beats out Attack of the Clones a little bit, but I will still rather watch either Solo or Phantom Menace.
Yeah, totally understand. Last but not least, though, I am really curious to see what those fans like. I don't know if it's like a select group of fans or whatnot who did that online petition, wanted to get rid of Last Jedi. I'm really curious to hear what they think about this. Like, are they going to defend this with the dying breath because it's JJ returning to Star Wars? Or they actually gonna admit and be like, you know what, Last Jedi wasn't half bad, I mean, I guess we were put too hard on it,
My prediction is that in 10 years, when we look back on this particular trilogy, not the Disney era as a whole, but this trilogy, people are going to say that The Last Jedi is the best one. You're already starting to see that. This movie has had the lowest opening of the new trilogy, and it has the lowest rating on Cinema Score. People are not really rushing to this film's defense. There's a handful of people that are saying, well, it's fun, but I think time will not be kind to this one, honestly. Personally, I don't know if those enraged fanboys are going to. I give it 10 years. I'm sure they'll pop. I feel like they're going to come around, especially since I still think there's a good shot we're going to get Rian Johnson's trilogy, because he's supposed to get his own Star Wars trilogy, and he's the only director left after they fired Wise and Benioff. So there's a good chance that he will get his own trilogy, and once we get to see Rian Johnson's own trilogy of movies that he has planned from the beginning with this whole arc over 3 films, we'll get to look back on Last Jedi and be like, okay, here's all these things that he was, preparing us for what he could do with Star Wars, and here we actually get to see it. I think we judged it too harshly, is my prediction.
Yeah. I think that will happen actually sooner than expected, actually. But yeah, I mean, Rise of Skywalker was what it was, though. Not really looking forward to any Star Wars movies in the next decade. I don't know if we're gonna just get standalone films, maybe so. But at least Mandalorian was great, as I said on Facebook. At least we got that 2019. So, hey, I mean, the as far as Star Wars content goes, it was like a complete train wreck, right? But yeah, sorry about Rise of Skywalker. Really wanted to like this thing, but nah, just fell completely flat. But